Hey, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth Markwood here as well.
And together, the three of us, Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. Welcome back once again. Good morning, boy.
Good morning, Owen.
How are you?
I'm well. You?
I'm well.
Excellent.
I'm well as well.
Excellent. What are we smoking today?
Mystery black Cavendish of some sort.
Excellent. How do you know that that's what it is?
Because it's the same bag we have been smoking on for months now. This began as a full bag quite a while ago, and every time I've said we're smoking a mystery black Cavendish, that's the one we smoked.
How?
It's BC. It's Lane BCA.
How do you know that that's what it started as?
Because it's Lane BCA. I know Lane BCA.
This smells very mysterious. It actually doesn't smell like much of anything because it's dry.
Yeah, it's all right.
That sounds like a great option for you. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
I'm going to smoke this Rill Up 6.
Okay. All right. Let's do that.
All right.
So, load them and smoke them. What you want to talk about today, boy?
Well, there's something that we haven't talked about in a long time, and parts of it that we have never talked about, I think, and that is beginner smoking, pipe smoking for beginners, and that's something that is a video and a subject that we've never discussed, but it comes up. We have never discussed it outside of my being a beginner pipe smoker when we started this channel, and my total lack of experience and knowledge, and I have a lot more experience and maybe less knowledge at this point. I've forgotten most of what I learned in the early days, but I had an experience this week where I was with a friend. We were outside, and he pulled out his eCig, and he was vaping on it. It was a new eCig.
Now, if you're watching this in the future, that's one of those things that the FDA banned a while back.
Right. And if you're watching this in the future, these are pipes. Also things that FDA banned. So he pulls this out. I kind of snatch it from him, and I immediately start tearing it apart. Because it's one where the atomizer is kind of integrated into the casing of the battery pack. And so I start unscrewing it, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He said, No, don't do that. Don't do that. I said, No, that's fine. I'm screwing this, and I said, "Now, if I hold it upside down, is it going to spill, or is it going to spill if I hold it right side up?" He said, "Don't spill it." I said, "No, it's fine." So I start unscrewing it, and so I get to pull the atomizer out, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, so have you messed with it enough?" So, No. I start unscrewing the atomizer, taking it apart. He said, "What? Stop! What are you doing?" I said, No, don't worry.
Is it a 510?
Don't worry about it. He said, I just rebuilt that. It's the very first time. I have no idea what I'm doing. You're going to ruin it. I said, No, it's going to be fine. Then I proceed to tell him that I have rebuilt coils, I have made my own juice, I have years and years of experience
when
vaping.
When do you think we did our first vaping video? The first video where we actually vaped.
2.5 years ago? 3 years
How
ago?
many years ago?
2.5?
I bet it was 5 years ago. I'm going to Google it.
Oh, on Aristocob, you mean, or someplace else?
Okay,
I'm thinking Markwood Men's Breakfast Club.
Let's say Aristocob.
Passed over 3 years recently.
Let's say Aristocob.
Okay, so I have been vaping for six or 7 years. We have been since the very best things that you could get your hands on were the same things that you find at the grocery store now, gas station. Anyway,
yeah, it looks like 6 years ago.
So he was very proud of this atomizer that he had just rebuilt. Didn't realize that I knew enough about it not to destroy it as I took it apart. And so I told him about that, kind of gave him some tips because it's not been performing the way he wants it to. And then I mentioned that we were going to be filming our episode this week. And he mentioned that he has never had any luck with pipe smoking. And the story kind of developed organically with me sharing with him that I like to smoke cigars. I couldn't smoke cigars as a newly married man, which is what got me into vaping. And now I smoke so much. Smoke pipes so frequently that I don't ever smoke cigars. I don't need that, and I don't vape much at all either. And he said, young guy, he's recently out of college, said, "Yeah, smoking pipes, it just seems so hard. I've never had much success. I vape, and I smoke cigars sometimes, but smoking a pipe is just very hard. Can never seem to get it right." So I thought it would be a good jumping off point, because we've talked in the past about how if pipe smoking is going to really stand up against the FDA and the wave of people that are trying to lump it into the dangers associated with cigarette smoking, then it's going to have to continue to pass on to other people, to whether that be future generations or other people that have interest that don't understand how easy really getting into it can be.
Okay.
And I sympathize with that line of thought, because I felt the exact same way. If you go to some of our early videos,
we all did. Every single person that has picked up a pipe the first few times they smoked, a lot of people gave it up in just trying it the first few times. It's like, I can't do this. So it's I think it's a common frustration. I don't think I have ever done a video on how to smoke a pipe. I've done different aspects of pipe smoking. And I think part of why I've never done it is I feel like it's all been said, and so is my voice even needed? But at the same time, I get a lot of questions about it, and maybe one of these days I should do a video on how to smoke a pipe.
You should plan to do that.
Why don't you do one? Let's do that right now.
No.
How do you smoke a pipe?
No. I am the worst. I am the worst. But what I told my friend is, when it comes to pipes, what I had to get over, which again I'm sure is true for a lot of people, but was something that as a newbie, you're sitting around a table at especially like a convention
Or pipe shop.
Pipe shop or pipe show, or watching people on YouTube. You're sitting around and everybody lights their pipe and is smoking for an hour at a time, without having to fill it up again, without tinkering with it too much, or having to relight too much. Meanwhile, as a newbie, you've packed it wrong. You're lighting it 100 times because you can't figure it out. You pack it and you can't breathe. You can't get a draw through it because it's too tight now. And it just doesn't seem to work out. Especially for someone who's coming from eCigs or cigars, where it's light it and forget it. Light it and it does the work for you, or press the button and it does the work for you. And so, one of the very first things for me to really start enjoying smoking a pipe was getting over the hurdle and recognizing that it's okay to tinker with it if it's not working out for you. It's okay when you pack it too tight to loosen it up a little bit if you have to.
It's okay to take the tobacco out and start over.
Right. Or to be lighting it constantly. Especially if you're like us and you're talking with your hands and you're not smoking. It's going to. And there's no shame in that. That's perfectly normal.
To me, it's one of the joys of tending a fire. You get to play with a fire. You get to poke the wood stove, and there's some skill that comes from experience. But if I could every single time pack a pipe, light it, and never touch it again, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. I like some of the tools. I like having to have my tamper in my hand and my lighter at the ready, and it doesn't bother me one bit to let it go out and relight it. Why? It's not. There's no shame. I think that the early best advice that I was ever given from a friend, because I was constantly packing it too tight, was his advice was pack it loosely, Don't light it. Put it up to your mouth, take a few draws out of it, and then pack it some more. And then draw again, not lit. And then pack it some more. And you will get it to the point where it's so compact, it's no longer easy to draw. That's too tight. Take the tobacco back out, do it again. And what you're looking for is a draw that's not openly airy. You got to have some resistance there, or else it won't stay lit. But not so tight that you're having to really draw on it, because if your cheeks are hurting, your tongue will begin to hurt, and there's no hurting in pipe smoking.
Right.
Shouldn't happen. And there's so many different cuts of tobacco, and the tobacco itself may not be the proper moisture content, so the tobacco will smoke differently from one pouch to the next or one tin to the next. But again, that's part of the fun, and the more you get used to it, the more you realize, this tobacco is a little bit wet, I better not pack it quite so tight.
I think it's important, though, that people that have the experience communicate that portion of it, that the frustration is part of the fun. That and we all know that smoking something like a flake, something that's very thick cut, it's going to be harder to light, and it's not going to stay lit immediately, but then it's going to burn well once you get it lit. That's something that someone off the street isn't going to know. And so they're going to feel like a failure. The other thing to remember, if you're a newbie, is no one's paying attention to you or judging you for what you're doing or not doing. And this is one of the most open and encouraging communities you could be a part of.
Yeah.
Everybody has been there, and everybody's willing to help out.
Yeah.
It's amazing. For me, I know personally, when we started, I would pack my pipe way too tight. And I know about myself now that I pack it too loose, and I don't care. Another one of the joys of this, people will say there is a right way to do it, and then there's a way that you enjoy it, and both are the right way, I think.
As you're smoking it, you're going to occasionally tamp it to get the embers back down on top of the unburnt tobacco. So even if it begins too loose, it'll eventually tighten up as you're smoking it. So yeah, I think that if you're going to err on one side or the other, you probably ought to err on the side of loose. But if it's super duper loose, you're going to light this thing up and it's going to go up in flames. So
yeah,
you don't need the entire bowl catching fire at one time. This is not a waste can, a trash can filled with newspaper. You don't want it all going up in flame at one time.
Right. Because I pack mine loose, it ends up burning faster and hotter than if I packed it tighter. But I got tired of having a really tight draw as well. And that's, again, just a personal preference. Is it the right way? No, but it's a way that I enjoy it, and it works for me. The other thing is I'm trying to get through as much of this as I can in 20-25 minutes most of the time. So that's a bad habit I've developed.
Hey, I have a topic we could talk about here real quick,
Okay.
and I'll pretend that it fits this conversation. I'll pretend we're shoehorning it in here. Several months ago, we pulled our Miracle Mud off the market because our Miracle Mud actually contained cigar ash, and the way the FDA deems that is a tobacco product. Pretty much anything used in the consumption of tobacco is a tobacco product. But I knew immediately that there was no way for me to redeem that product. It was going to contain cigar ash. So we pulled it off the market. We still have a bunch of it. I'm not comfortable selling it. We are in a grace period right now where the FDA...
ash a tobacco product?
Because it's actually made from tobacco.
But it's not used. The ash is not used in the consumption of the tobacco.
Pipe mud is used in the consumption of tobacco. Yeah,
it's the pipe mud, but the cigar ash.
So pipe mud is traditionally it is cigar ash mixed either with water or spit, and it creates a new bottom on your corncob pipe or your briar pipe. And it's great for a corncob pipe. People that are concerned that the bottom's going to burn out, then go ahead and mud the pipe. Add cigar ash, not pipe tobacco ash, because that tends to have some additives in it. You're looking for just carbon, basically.
Yeah.
And you can make a nice new bottom on your pipe, or I get people that'll call or email and they'll say, hey, I got a pipe, it's relatively new. I was smoking it with the window open and it got really, really hot and it's got a hole, almost a hole, through the side of the pipe. What can I do? All right, it's a corncob pipe. You can buy a new pipe. But in the meantime, put some pipe mud in there. You might get years of use with pipe mud. But a couple years ago, I endeavored to come up with a commercial version of pipe mud that I
Great
thought,
timing, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It was with the introduction of Missouri Meerschaum's Morgan nose warmer. This pipe, you can see where they've drilled for the shank here. There is maybe 3/8 of an inch between the bottom of this shank, the bottom of the bowl, and the bottom of the pipe. Mm-hmm. There's no, at least originally, there was no wooden plug on the Morgan nose warmers. And I knew we're going to have a problem with these burning out on people. And so I went to work coming up with a pipe mud that we sold. Mm-hmm. Again, two problems with it. It's used for the consumption of tobacco, and it contains tobacco.
Right.
So, like I said, even though theoretically we're in a grace period and I could just sell my inventory out, I decided I did not need to run the risk of running afoul of the FDA. Let's just retire it.
Yeah.
Well, I've had so many requests for it that I decided that I would come up with a new version of it. And the first thing that I'm working on, and by the time this video goes live, it'll be ready, is I've had to work with a couple formulations of it. It does contain ash, but it does not contain tobacco ash.
Okay.
It contains hardwood ash, and hardwood ash contains some of the compounds that we need to get that the binding of basically what becomes a cement in the bottom of a pipe. But the condition that we're going to have to go on in order to sell this is it's not pipe mud. It is miracle mud to be used for anything but the consumption of tobacco.
Right.
And you'll be able to use it any way you like. It is essentially, again, I say it kind of leans more towards a cement. If I were to use it in and around a pipe, I'm not suggesting it, but if I were to do that, especially if it was a corncob pipe, I wouldn't use it inside the sides of the chamber because I feel like it's not porous enough.
Right.
You know, the benefit of a corncob is that it's porous and you get some air through it. But if I were inclined to want to put something in the bottom of a pipe that's going to be longer lasting than traditional pipe mud, my Miracle Mud's probably not a bad product for that. I'm definitely walking on the edge here, but I'm not going to market it. I'm not going to recommend it for that use.
Right. Question. How long does it take you to harvest all of this spit?
Yeah, that's the toughest part.
Mud.
I got the grandkids involved in this.
Great,
If you've seen your kids.
Is that what they're doing in your house all the time? All right, that's where Augie picked up that habit.
So, if you're interested in our Miracle Mud, keep an eye out on the Aristocob YouTube channel, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to give away what remains of my original Miracle Mud. The stuff that does contain cigar ash.
Right.
I will sell you a package of the new stuff, give you a package of the old stuff, and basically what I'm asking for is for folks to try it and let me know what they think.
Okay.
And I think that based on my own experiences with it, I think that you're going to be happy with it, but I need to hear from some other taste testers.
Right, for whatever non-pipe related applications you choose to use it in.
Yeah, you can fill your belly button with the stuff if you like.
Again, that way Augie is spitting in my belly button these days. It's weird.
But whatever you do not use it to line the interior walls of a pipe. That's not.
Right.
I don't think you'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm curious though, I suppose if you had a briar pipe, maybe that would be fine because a briar pipe doesn't have the same properties. But we never sold it for use in a briar pipe because I never tested it for use in a briar pipe. So maybe if somebody has a briar pipe that's got a hole in it and they're willing to test it out, give it a shot. But I'm concerned that the expansion and contraction is quite different in a briar pipe. I'm not sure how the mud is going to react to that environment. So we'll see.
Be worth a test.
Yeah. So, but if you're new to pipe smoking and you're hearing about pipe mud for the first time, make your own cigar ash. Go to your local cigar shop and ask if you can steal some ash from their ashtrays that they have. On a Saturday afternoon, take a Ziploc baggie in and stock up on some ash.
Or just smoke some cigars.
That's true. If you don't smoke a cigar.
If you don't smoke a cigar, why aren't you smoking cigars?
I'm very, very curious what folks think of the comparison between the two.
Right.
Because there's a chance that it's improved.
So we should do a comparison.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
Okay.
I'm not against it. We'll
do
do some torture test or something.
And you should do a how to whatever a pipe.
Whatever.
Pack light. Just a something on Aristocob to let people look again.
Should I do that?
I think so. What do you think? The hope is that there will be new people coming to the community every day, new people coming and joining as pipe smokers. And, if my friend, the conversation I had with my friend is any indication, it can be intimidating for someone that doesn't know what they're doing. And so the more resources, it's been done. We have all heard it, but, it doesn't hurt to put that information out there periodically.
I know that speaking of periodically, every woodworking magazine that I read every year, everyone comes out with an article on how to tune up your table saw, how to tune up your bandsaw, how to do maintenance on your planer, how to cut a dovetail, how to build a workbench. And as a longtime subscriber to a magazine, it can get frustrating. Sure. Oh, great, another dovetail article. But there's always newbies coming into the hobby, and I have to say that every time I see one of those articles, there's always something, some new idea, some new approach that you can learn from. So maybe I will. Well, we'll see. What do you think?
Yeah. All right, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for joining us. Make it a great week, and we'll see you again next week.
See ya.